Welcome to Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly with host Nancy Becker on Global Voice Radio. Nancy and her guests will share tips and recommendations on moving forward in your life and business now and not waiting till pigs fly. Here's your host, Nancy Becker.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly, where we have conversations for and with business experts who provide us with tips and techniques to help us grow our businesses and allow us to soar higher. Today we're going to be talking with Christine Gallagher, and she's a speaker, a trainer, a best-selling author, and award-winning business coach. And she founded She's Got Clients in 2009, and it's a company dedicated to teaching women around the globe how to find more meaning, fulfillment, and purpose in their life through the power of entrepreneurship. Christine believes that when entrepreneurs learn how to share their gifts and their message in a much bigger way by leveraging their time and talent, they will not only attract raving fans, enroll more clients, and enjoy more income, they also become a force for positive change in the world. The Huffington Post declared Christine to be one of 16 brilliant business minds on Twitter. She's won the Bronze Stevie Award for Business Mentor Coach of the Year in 2014, and she's an Amazon best-selling author. She is also an in-demand speaker, sharing the stage with such luminaries as Damon John and Laura Berman Fortgang, and has been featured as an online marketing and social media expert in numerous publications such as We Magazine for Women, Newsday, Blog Her, The Huntington Post, Social Media Examiner, and many more. Additionally, she's been interviewed on dozens of radio shows, telesummits, panels, and webinars. Christine published her first solo book in 2014 called There's More to Life Than This, and her newsletters, products, and online reach now educate and inspire over 50,000 people every month. Are you ready? I sure am. Let's get this going. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
That's great. I'm just excited to be able to hear everything you have to say. I've been a fan and a follower for a long time, and a lot of what you says makes a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm looking forward to getting some of those insights to share with my listeners. I'm going to start out with asking you a very basic question. And can you share how you got started in entrepreneurship?
Yes. Okay. So I'm one of those people that, escaped corporate or actually in my case, it was higher education was where I was working. And then I was in more of a corporate. But basically what happened was I, got out of grad school and I, thought that I was going to climb the ladder and that's what I was going to do. I have a techie background and I got out of grad school and I was like, yeah, this isn't what I want. I worked at my first job out of grad school and I said, this is not for me, but I thought there was something wrong with me because I was like, why am I not happy anywhere? So then I went to another job and it was cool at first because it was a startup, but then the original people who started the company left and it turned into like the job from hell. And so I was like, oh my God, another job I can't stand. And so while I was in that job, I decided to, dive into social media because that's when social media was first coming out. And I just started seeing these women entrepreneurs like on Twitter. And I was like, whoa, this whole world opened up to me because I didn't know it was out there. And it was all these women who were working from home and they got to go to Starbucks whenever they wanted and, all those perks. And I thought, oh, I got to find out more. So anyway, I started diving into that world. And the cool thing about Twitter, especially back then, was that it leveled the playing field. So you could just like talk to anybody, like best-selling authors and, famous and whatever. And I got a lot of inspiration from them. And I decided to hire a coach to help me figure out how to get out of my job because I was afraid to just leave. And so long story short, I hired a couple of coaches to like help me figure out what I'm good at and, help me come up with a plan for leaving corporate. And one day I made the decision that I was going to hire a coach. So one of these people that I had come across on social media, I actually got on her email list, and she just seemed like somebody that I wanted what she had, and she also was a redhead. So I think I felt like this resonance with her. And I just decided I'm going to plunk down the money. I'm going to coach with her. I didn't have a business yet. I had like an idea. But I know that like you can't reinvent the wheel. You can always find somebody who's done what you want to do and model them. So at the time I was married, and my husband was like, I don't even know what coaching is. I don't know what you're doing, but okay. I put it on my credit card, and 2 weeks later I was promptly laid off from my job. And I remember, I'll never forget, I went home and I was like, I couldn't even talk. I was like, because that had never happened to me before, and I was just like lost. And I emailed my coach and I told her what happened, and she's like, congratulations. Like, she was like so excited. And I was like, what? And she's like, the universe heard you. Like, this is happening for a reason. So she actually was right, because at that moment I decided I wasn't going to go back and find another job. I was going to figure this out. So I did. So I just, I started as a social media consultant. I was really helping companies understand social media because I had a knack for it. But I still had to learn how to market my own business. So I spent a while trying to figure all that out. And then, time went by, and I just, I started getting things more and more as far as sales and marketing, and just took off from there. So yeah, I'm one of those escapees from corporate, which I think is a common story, actually.
Yeah, I think it is too. I know that, not for me. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12 years old. And,
wow.
And, different little things, but always with the idea that, I'm going to do this for myself. I've had jobs along the line and hated them, and always go back to doing the things that I want to do. And I got my undergraduate degree in psychology and sociology and French. I had 3 majors. Mm-hmm. My master's degree is in counseling, and my doctoral degree is in sociology.
Wow.
And I went from this little bitty Midwest, college. I went off to Washington, D.C. to start my life there. And even there, I started my own business, and it had absolutely nothing to do with any of the things I got degrees in, except that my clients were almost all international. Mm-hmm. So my sociology / international relations degree was working that way, because I was helping businesses overseas start working in the United States. So yeah, I've done this forever and ever and ever, but you're absolutely right. There's something that pulls you in, and
right.
You just got to do it. So that brings to mind another question for me, because I've been doing this for a very long time. And back when I started, there really wasn't an internet. The only thing there was AOL. Mm-hmm. And you've got mail, and that kind of thing. And my first computers didn't have hard drives. They had the 8.5-inch floppy drives, that used DOS as an operating. Uh-huh. It was, so if I wanted to learn something, I had to figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have somebody that I could go and talk to. So that's why I started this podcast, and my business in general, is just so that I can help people figure out what's the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. And now the question that I'm going to ask you is, now it seems like everybody and their brother is a coach.
Yeah.
How does someone who knows they need something find the right one?
Ooh, what a loaded question. It's a good question. I actually wrote a blog post about this. It's interesting, because I think about all the ways that I've found coaches, and for me, it's been primarily online, and it's a matter of like, you could just simply do keyword searches for different types of coaches. But somehow like I had said, I got on this person's newsletter list. And I do recommend that if people find coaches in whatever way, if they get recommended one or they find them online, sign up for their list, learn their style, see what they're about, and kind of just like watch from afar and start to see. And I think that one of the biggest things that I always say when people are looking for coaches is, make sure that that coach is like not fly by night, because as we know, everyone's a coach now, and there are lots of people out there, and not all are, are legitimate or good. And so you have to do your homework. And the biggest thing that I tell my clients is, if you're looking for somebody, you have got to get those testimonials and referrals, and you've got to talk to them. So, it's kind of like two parts. It's like, first you got to find the coach, and then you got to, make sure they're good. And it sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do that. They're like, oh, I'll take her at her word or whatever. And I actually encourage people, like, look at success stories and look at the type of people they worked with. And so it's a combination of, doing the research and doing the homework. And the other thing that I did was I talked to colleagues and friends who had experience with coaches or new people. And I just really sort of felt things out and saw who was out there. So yeah, it's a big pool to find someone in. But I would say that the success stories, and the other thing is, do they like, if it's a business coach, for example, do they talk about things like metrics and KPIs and like, that stuff that's real business. And if I know a coach is not teaching their clients about metrics and KPIs and keeping track of everything, that's a red flag. So like, that's just kind of a random thing, but that is one of those things I've noticed. And it's important, super important.
Okay, let's switch that around a little bit now. And as a coach, and someone comes to you and says, oh, Christine, I want you to be my coach. I want you to be my mentor. What is your next step then? Do you automatically say, well, sure, come on board? Or,
well, yeah. So usually I vet. I vet potential clients. Just, you're right. It's like we're flipping the script, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, that's usually a phone conversation, because if somebody wants to work with me privately, that's more of my, high ticket offer. And so, because I offer a lot of things that are more group and everything, but if you want private, we get on the phone and I find out more about you. I have them fill out a questionnaire before they even get on the phone with me. So I know where they're at. And occasionally when I see that questionnaire, like with red flags, I've been known to cancel the call, because I will say to them, I don't think I'm the best fit for you. And then I'll give them a recommendation of somebody if I feel like there's somebody else that can help them. So that's like the first thing. And then, we get into conversation, and when you are looking to join my mastermind, which is one of the main ways to coach with me, there's an application process. So, again, it's vetting, and it's making sure that this person is right, because a lot of people are just like, yeah, I'll take their money, whatever, who cares? But I have learned because I've got burned before that, it really does make a difference when you do that screening up front. And the other thing is, because the mastermind program that I run is a group program, I want to make sure that the people jive together. I'm not just thinking about me, but I'm thinking about the community of people. So yeah, that's important too.
It is, and I run a mastermind program as well, and it's one of the groups has been together for almost 4 years, and everybody basically that's in the group today started out 4 years ago, and they're like a family now. And I don't want to put somebody new, just throw them into that group because somebody wants to be a part of my mastermind group. It's just, you got to be very careful of your clients and of it's not just about you and making money as far as I'm concerned. It's right. You've got to be there for your clients as well. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to throw a question at you that you may not want to answer, and it's not on the list, but it's something that when we're talking about coaching, I come across a lot. And there's been, in one of my groups on Facebook, we've been talking about this extensively over the last couple of weeks, and I'd love your thoughts on it. The question is, when you are trying to sell somebody something, and they come back and say, I can't afford it. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Oh boy, yes, that objection. Well, I will tell you, sometimes it really does mean that. I know there's a lot of coaches out there that'll tell you, oh, it's never the money. Sometimes it is the money. And sometimes, like, for example, I work with a funding partner so that if a client, a new prospect comes to me and they want to work with me, but they don't have the budget, we have this firm we partner with that can give them credit. But some people don't want to take out, go into debt. So I get it. However, again, this is why I get on the phone with people. If I'm kind of gauging the whole conversation and it comes to that point, I call people on that. Especially if I know it's not really a money thing, it's a fear thing, which it often is. I'll call them on that. And one of the things that I say is, and this is another reason the application's good. I said, on the application, you were asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to work with me or how much do you need help? And, this person said 10. And so I bring it back to that, or even if they said 9, I'm like, listen, this is important to you. What's going to change if you wait to do this? Not having money and that being a legitimate reason is one thing, but if you're just in fear, because this is something new or this is something that's scary, let's talk about that. So I actually talk them through it. And sometimes we do have a breakthrough because it was just a fear. And other times people just need to think about it. And I always make sure when they say that, let's schedule a time to check back in, put it on the calendar so it doesn't fall through the cracks. I hold them to it, So I think that there's a few different ways to handle it, but my best experience is when I actually put on my coaching hat and hold them to it and say, listen, what is really going on here? And I think that's important for coaches to do that.
Yeah, I think so too. Is fear important? Is fear a big thing for business people?
I think so. I was saying to a client the other day, if you're not scared, something's wrong. And not like, fear that you're curled up in a ball and can't do anything, but like fear is natural to me to tell me, it tells me something. It's a message. It's like this is a big deal to you. Right. And sometimes it's just pure terror. Like I'm scared to do that, but sometimes it's like, there's other stuff wrapped up in it. And I think that entrepreneurs really have to get honest with themselves, like what's really going on here. Because sometimes there's like the surface reasons like, oh, I don't want to do a Facebook Live because I'm afraid I'm going to stumble over my words, or, there's like this deeper thing, which is like, I'm afraid to ask for the sale because I have this money story going from when I was 12 years old, So I think that, it really just depends. But, I think that we do it anyway. I always say we do it anyway, no matter what the fear is. As long as no one's going to get hurt, no small children will die. It's okay. And that I've always found that when I cross that hump, that fear, there's always something really good on the other side. Like it just always turns out that way. So I've kind of just learned like, let's move through it. And the other thing I say to my clients all the time is we build the plane as we fly it. Because so many people are afraid to take the next step because they think they're not ready or that everything has to be complete. And I heard Allie Brown is somebody that I followed early on, and she was an inspiration for me. And I heard her say this, and it's so true. She's like, everyone talks about having your ducks in a row. Like my ducks have never been in a row. There's always this random duck that's off on the side doing its own thing. And I'm like, yeah, that is it. And I emphasize that to my clients because I'm like, listen, people look like this big success from the outside, but they have the same fears as well. It's just how they handle them. Do they move through them? Do they question what it's really about? Do they let it stop them? So I think it's unavoidable, but you can manage it and you need to get honest with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I tell my clients all the time that unless you plan for the unplanned, you're going to be in trouble one of these days because you've got to have contingencies for anything,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you, I deal with fear constantly. And it's one of the things that for a long, long time was something that I dealt with was I wanted everybody to like me. And it was, and it was a lot of this kind of an imposter, the whole imposter syndrome of like, why would anyone want to listen to me? And so I would never say anything that I think would make somebody upset.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting ready to run this big retreat in September, and I've got these wonderful speakers who are coming to be a part of the retreat and to speak. And the one woman, she's a millennial. She's got this whole different mindset going on, and she's one of these people who's real, and she'll swear, she'll all this kind of stuff. And I went, all right, well, just keep it toned down, right?
Right.
And then I got a call yesterday from one of my big sponsors that said, if you don't take that down, because in her bio, she swears, and the sponsor says, I'm not going to have anything to do with this retreat. And I go, oh, geez, what do I do now? I've got two different sides, and the fear's coming out, and I'm going, well, really, I don't want to tell somebody how they can run their business. But on the other hand, and I'm just going back and forth.
Right.
And you go, okay, take a deep breath. And I said to the one person, I'll see what I can do. However, I don't think that's the end of the world. If she swears a little bit, we'll just have to roll with it. On the other hand, I went to the speaker and I went, please take it down.
Yeah.
And she comes back, I totally understand. I'm fine. No, and I'm like, oh my God. So, if you do allow yourself to work through those fears, what was the worst thing either one of them could have said? I'm not sponsoring, or I'm not coming to speak.
Right.
And if the one didn't sponsor, I'd find somebody else. And if the one didn't speak, I'd find somebody else.
Exactly.
So I think you have to go, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it worked out in your case, but you're right. If one of those things had happened, someone dropping out, no small children will die. No one's getting hurt. I mean, hurt feelings maybe, but no. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's an important thing, I think, for businesses in general to understand. And a lot of the people that I work with and the people who listen to this podcast are just getting started, and they've still got the big dreams in their eyes. And, they still, I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to just have this absolutely perfect life from then on. And then they start getting racked with these fears. And,
Well, and can I just share an example that happened today? This is timely. So I had a client, my clients have Voxer access. So Voxer is like the app. It's like a walkie-talkie. So my client Voxered me this morning, and I was listening to it about an hour ago. And basically what she was saying was, I'm turning 37 and I feel like, I'm not in a place I want to be. And I never thought I'd be here at 37. And, she was just like really down on herself. And I just listened kind of like with amusement, because I had a story to tell about my own moment at 37 where I had kind of gone to the dark side. And I thought, that's a coincidence. There's something about me being 37. But I boxed her back and I said, I can distinctly remember a time 3 years ago, I was 37. I was sitting on my ex-boyfriend's bed and I was like really mopey because I was doing a launch. It was almost over and the launch was not going the way I wanted it to go. And I literally said to myself, I'm 37 years old and I have nothing to show for it. And like, I just think like if anyone heard that who knows me, they'd be like, what are you talking about? But my point was to my client that even people who, seem like they got it going on, they got it together, go through that stuff. And, I just said to her, like, it's not always what it seems. And I got past that moment, it didn't destroy me. It just was sort of a moment where I had to sit there and go, I'm feeling like crap and I'm just going to feel it, but yeah, it's like a lot of times, and that's what I appreciate, when I was kind of coming up in business, was the women entrepreneurs who shared the bad stuff or shared the, this didn't work stuff. I found that really inspiring because it makes them real. Yeah. And it shows you that like, there's just like this shiny exterior doesn't mean that everything's perfect. You got to know that. You just have to know that, because otherwise you get too discouraged.
There's a quote that I absolutely love that, and I'm going to have to paraphrase it because I don't remember it exactly, but it's something to the effect of that almost every overnight success actually took years. The people. Absolutely. the people that you see as being an overnight success, you don't see all the years and years and years of hard work they actually put into something to become that. So, you're right. We've all gone through these things, whether anybody realizes that or not, I think. But I think there's also something else that we have to be careful of, and that I see happening a lot, and that's sharing these real moments that really aren't real. The comments like, I was homeless, I was living in the back seat of my car, and 4 months later I'm now making a 7-figure income. But people buy into that.
I know.
And they buy into the 4-hour work week. And how do you deal with that kind of a thought process that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, the big thing is just being real. But, what I try to tell people is, listen, some of those stories, some of them might be true, but there's way more different types of stories out there than the story of like, I was homeless, now I'm a zillionaire 2 years later, And so I just think that, again, it goes back to who you're looking up to and who you're following. Be careful about that, because again, going back to like vetting your coaches, right? You don't know what the real truth is. Look for concrete evidence that this person is really legitimate and they've got things that are, going to be beneficial to you. And so it's okay to have like a crazy success story, but it's so much more common to be a person who's like, an overnight success takes 10 years, like literally. And like next year is my 10th year in business, and it went so fast, it's crazy. But like, I get that. I'm like, yeah, I'm like at 10 years and I'm only just starting to feel like, I got something going on, because I was just building. I was building, and some good things happen, but I'm nowhere near finished. So I think it's a duty for coaches and people out there that are like influencers. I think it's their duty to share that their story was not an overnight success if it wasn't, because we all appreciate that. So do your homework, and just know that a lot of that is just smoke and mirrors. Unfortunately, the internet makes that easy to do.
Unfortunately, yes, it does. And speaking of the internet and social media, I know that something you've been talking about recently is the new leadership paradigm that's out there in social media. Tell us a little bit more about that. What does that mean? How does that affect us?
Yeah, and it kind of goes along with like it took me 10 years to kind of figure this out, but I've always been interested in like leadership and helping my clients be seen as leaders. But what I realized is that a lot of the leadership thing, like people looking at you as a leader, comes from the showing up authentically and being honest and taking a stand. And the challenge that, we connected that I did a couple months ago, I talked about that. I'm like, the first thing you got to do is look at, what do you stand for? And so a lot of people don't stand for anything, or they just keep it to themselves. And it's not that you have to share everything, but if you really believe strongly in something, put it out there. And I know a lot of people go, oh, you shouldn't talk about relationships or sex or politics, and you can do it in a tasteful way. But if there's something that you really believe in, let me tell you that when you put that out there, there's going to be other people that are like, oh my God, I didn't know that about her. And I agree. And I feel the same. And I resonate. And then they become your client, And so that's something that I've noticed recently is I've had this new sort of crop of people into my business life that are very much like me. And what I realized is that I was kind of like you were saying, Nancy, about how like you have to show up professional and, you can't, right? That's how I was. I mean, I was always kind of honest about like my stuff, but like I didn't really stand for stuff. Yeah. And well, I did privately, not publicly. But once I started putting that out there, I started like my soulmate clients. It was like, you get it. And that's a huge deal because we're so conditioned to think we have to like keep our mouth shut and just be professional. And that's not how the business world is now, not with the internet, not with social media. It's a whole different ballgame. And, some old school business owners, get appalled or whatever. And I'm just like, it's just the changing. Yeah, things change. And now we're used to hearing it. just don't go crazy about it. Like, you don't want to be the person who's like the dirty laundry every day or, whatever. But taking a stand is a bit different. It's showing what you actually believe in and that you actually have convictions. And people want to know that.
Well, and that's really funny that you're talking about that, because forever and a day, I've always had, and people know me from when I was working in the past. People know me as the pig lady, which I'm not really sure is a good thing or not, but I have always believed in, my motto is being, don't wait till pigs fly to grow your business, which is actually the name of this podcast. And for years, people were going, oh, you can't use that in business. That's just not professional. That's, and so I stopped. And I would try to come up with these, logos and slogans and all this that would be more professional.
Right.
Just didn't sound or feel right. And about 6 months ago, I went, darn it, I'm going back to my darn little old pigs. And, and I'm now doing, my logo is the pigs and the website is the pigs. And you cannot believe the number of people that I'm drawing to me because they like that. And what it means is that you have to have fun. Even if you're in business, you don't have to be professional all the time. You can be real. You can have fun. But yet so often I'll see clients that go, all right, I've got a website. I'm on Facebook. I'm just going to sit back and wait for business to come flowing in. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't. So if you sit there and wait until those darn pigs fly, you're not going to get your business anywhere. And that really is my mission and what I stand for. And by bringing that out and believing in it and being authentic in it, it's getting me business. And I think exactly what you're saying is that's what we all have to do is be real and show that. And so I think that's a wonderful thought. So how do we deal with social media in general?
Wow. So I feel like, there's this thing that I hear a lot of times, especially with business owners, is they always go, well, should I put it on my Facebook personal profile or should I just put it on my biz page? Like, I don't know if I should put it on my personal, like that's my cousins and my high school friend, And so I think that people get very concerned about privacy, which in one respect I do understand. But also you need to know that there is no such thing as freaking privacy anymore. In the world of Google, if you really get down to it, you decide what you want to share, but don't let the privacy thing hold you back from showing up for the people that need you, because that's a major obstacle. And the other thing is that this kind of brings me back to what you were just saying, which is, this idea of being professional in business. The other thing I see is the perfectionism. Like everything has to be perfect. And I think that, especially for women, this is true. And like we look back at our schooling and we're like, oh, we want to get the A+, we want to get the star sticker on our paper. And we have to uncondition ourselves from that when you go into business. So I mentioned this with social media because a lot of times that's why people don't put themselves out there on social media, is because they think things have to be perfect. They're not done yet. And it's just like you're saying about pigs flying. I mean, you're going to wait forever. It's never going to be perfect. Good is good enough. Get it out there. And so I think people need to consider that. They need to consider, how much they're letting privacy get in the way. And they also have to remember, and this goes back to what I used to say day one of my business, which is social media is about relationships. It's just the same as offline networking, except it's an online container. But it's the same thing. You start a conversation. It's not all about selling and business. It's about you, and it could even be small talk, and that shows people your personality. So I think that that's a biggie. Don't be afraid to bring that out, and don't think that you have to be this hard seller. Some people actually believe they have to be like that to make any progress on social media, and that's not how it works. It works by the subtle stuff that you're putting out there that helps build a picture of you in their mind. And then they get curious, and then they go to your website, right? And then things start to happen from there. But that is like still so true 10 years later. It's about the relationship. It's very little promotion. I always say it's the 80-20 rule, like 20% promotion, 80% non-promotion. That's something to remember. That's really important.
That is very important. So thank you. We're actually running out of time. So is there anything, this just went by so fast.
It did. It went so fast.
It did. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we say goodbye?
Well, I would just say, if you're in a place, because I know you, this podcast is, like you said, a lot of newer business owners and getting started, just take to heart what Nancy and I have just been talking about, because I think this conversation was it's like being a fly on the wall. And it's just so important to realize that, no one's perfect. We all have fear. Things are going to fall apart. You'll survive. Like that whole feeling of you're being held back by your own fears, and that can crush dreams. And so I just want people to just really be honest with themselves, like where they're doing that, what is this really about? Is this about privacy, or is this about you're afraid it's not perfect enough or whatever? Just be honest with yourself and just see where you might be blocking. And remember, we build the plane as we fly it. That goes for all of us, not just seasoned entrepreneurs. That's all of us. So yeah,
that's great. I will remember that. And guys, everybody who's listening, I highly recommend that if you are in business, wanting to grow your business to the next level, you check out Christine and see what some of her wonderful programs are all about. How can they get a hold of you, Christine?
Yeah, so my main website is she'sgotclients.com. And they can look me up on Facebook as well. I'm Christine Gallagher, and Instagram and Twitter, I'm Christine G. So I'd love to connect with you. Let me know, what you liked about the conversation, and I'm happy to friend you and connect and get to know you.
Great. And I know that you just started another big giveaway program. I shared it on my page earlier today.
Thank you.
Tell us quickly a little bit about that, so that
so just real quick, this is the third annual giveaway, and what it is I recruit people from the industry, meaning people who serve primarily service-based entrepreneurs. I recruit them to all give a free gift, so that could be a video, an audio, checklist, whatever, and then we all cross-promote it with each other. And so what that does, it's like win-win-win, because people get all these great gifts and they learn great stuff from the gifts. I get to build my list. The contributors build their list. So it's just it's really fun too. It's really fun. And it's not like a telesummit, which is another kind of big event that people do. A telesummit is like, you're interviewing people. So this is actually a little less intense, but it still brings great results. So if people want to check that out, they can go to getclientsonlinegiveaway.com, and it's open for just another week and a half.
Yeah. And there are some great giveaways on there. Believe me, I'm a part of it. I've checked them all out.
Good stuff.
So there is good stuff on there. Yeah. So anybody, if you have any questions and you want to get a hold of either one of us, you can write questions right here on the bottom of the webcast, or you can either connect with me at nancy@don'twaittillpigsfly.com, or Christine with her email she just gave you, and I will put it up again on the promotional page at the end of the podcast. So until next time, guys, work hard and soar higher, and we'll see you again soon. So thanks all, and we'll talk again really, really soon.
Thank you for listening to Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly with host Nancy Becker. Join Nancy every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Global Voice Radio.